Hey everybody, welcome to Salute the Songbird. Thank you guys for being here with us tonight. I'm very excited about my guest. Everybody make all the noise you can for Emily Ann Roberts. You are a star, baby. I love you, Emily Ann. She is a friend of mine, but it's also just so cool to see how much of yourself you show with the world. And I think it's really hard to do that. It's hard to find that balance when you're an artist like yourself without feeling like you're crossing those boundaries, but it's so authentic and you seem to be so good at it. So I want to get to that, but although I know you already, will you tell us a little bit about your upbringing in East Tennessee and how you broke into the music industry so early?
Yeah, absolutely. I was raised in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I had a wonderful mom and daddy that loved music, but they couldn't play anything, and they couldn't really sing anything either. But they were huge fans of country and bluegrass music, and so they raised me up on some of the best. And I remember being in a car seat, learning how to sing harmony, singing along to Ricky Skaggs' Soldier of the Cross record. And it just made me fall in love with country music and that Appalachian sound. And so flash forward, I always loved to sing, but I never played anything or had a way to go and share my music with other people other than putting on a show for mom and daddy in the living room. And so I auditioned for a talent show at my middle school, and I didn't make it. And I was devastated. I poured my heart and soul into that little song.
They're lost. They're kicking themselves now.
Yeah, 6th grade Emily Ann thought that life was over. And then I went to the teacher and I said, what can I do to make it next year? And she said, maybe if you played an instrument, you would have won. And I was like, okay. So I went home and I told my mom and daddy I've got to learn how to play guitar. And I learned how to play guitar. And the next year, my 7th grade year, I auditioned and I did win. And that's my redemption story. And so I'm so thankful for that teacher. Instead of just being like, oh, just try harder. She actually gave me like something constructive and was like, go learn an instrument. And I did.
Yeah.
So then I started playing at a Mexican restaurant in East Tennessee. Very fancy, for free enchiladas, and I had a little blue mason jar that I made a pink tips sign out of cardstock and taped on with Scotch tape. And people would put money in if they, I guess, felt sorry for me or whatever. And I did that until The Voice when I was a sophomore in high school. So.
Well, that is, you said until you were a sophomore in high school, as if that was late in life to be such an entrepreneur and ambitious as you were. First of all, I love that you did have a teacher who believed in your talent enough to give you constructive criticism. And I think there is, I hate the stereotype of the chick singer, an abundance of that, but having the ability to be self-sufficient in a room and say, this is my song and I'm going to present it to you by accompanying myself. That is a gift that probably has been invaluable to you as not only a performer, but a writer. And, you know, being able to absorb that lesson and then take it is, I think, just all the credit to you. But I heard that you were not really seeking out the opportunity at The Voice. That was almost something that reluctantly fell in your lap. You were reluctant about, rather?
I never wanted to go on a TV show. And you know, like when I was growing up, that was all the rage. It was like, you can sing, go on American Idol. And so anyways, everybody always said, you should do American Idol, you should do The Voice. And I always thought, no, I don't want to do that. And I was like a fearful little kid. I loved music, but I was honestly kind of like, I lived in a little bubble. And my dad was a janitor, and my mom worked part-time as a nurse at a pediatrician's office. So they had like very normal jobs. We lived very normal lives. So even though I loved music, I never dreamed in a million years it could be a reality for me to do this full-time for the rest of my life. So my dad would like post videos of me on YouTube, and we never thought anything about it. They were literally recorded on an iPad on the front porch. They were pitiful, and they're still up. So we need to get those down. But the casting producer from The Voice found one of the videos and emailed my mom and daddy, because I was just, I guess, I maybe just turned 16. And they invited me to come to a callback audition. And my mom and dad almost didn't tell me because they were like, she can't do this. She's just a little girl. And then, anyways, they ended up telling me. We went to Atlanta, did the callback audition. And I just thought, you know, if the door opens, I'll do it. But I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know anything. So, anyways, the door opened, and they kept opening, and I took my first ever plane ride to L.A., and I auditioned, and came in second on the show. It was wild.
That is wild. That's
crazy.
wild.
It was crazy.
And, I mean, I think you have the talent, but you also have that ease with just who you are as a person, and I think your personality probably shone through. I have a theory about American Idol and The Voice. I think that they do provide accessibility to this industry. What is the origin point for an artist in this industry? It's really hard to define. So you have shows like this that actually do provide you some clear-cut path to getting there. And you were able to capitalize on that. But my theory is that it's better to be the runner-up in these contests, because you get all the visibility, but then you don't have the contractual obligations. And you've been able to use that platform to launch a career that's all your own without feeling like super constrained. Wouldn't you say that's sort of kind of sweeter?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I didn't want to win the show, and this is going to sound so crazy, but I had been away from home for almost a year. I mean, that process is so long. And by the time it was the end and the finale, I was just ready to go back home to a high school basketball game. And I didn't want to win because I knew that I'd be tied down into that contract. And so it was a really big blessing that I came in second, and I was able to get all the exposure, like you said. And I learned a lot. It was like a crash course. I learned how to sing under stressful circumstances on live national television. I learned how to do interviews. I learned things about styling, about hair and makeup. And so I can't say enough good things about The Voice, but the one thing that nobody prepared me for, and I think this is important to share, is it is truly just a launching pad. And as a little girl who didn't know anything but singing in a Mexican restaurant in East Tennessee, I thought I was hoop-de-doo. Like, I literally thought the world is my oyster. I'm on The Voice. Like, hello, Nashville.
Well, you weren't
I'm
very
Emily
far
Ann.
off. It was, I mean, you had reason to be excited.
I was excited, but I thought that and it is a big deal. I'm not trying to say it's not a big deal. It is a big deal, but I think that I thought, like, I'm off to the races, maybe. And I got off that show, and I came to Nashville, and everyone was like, cool, good job, you were on The Voice. Anyways, like, that doesn't really hold a whole lot of weight. It's a great thing, and it gives you a fan base and some folks that were really invested in you, but it was just a launching pad, and nobody prepared you for that. All the producers were always like, this is the start of everything for you. And it is. But the real work started after that show. It was an incredible opportunity, but it was just a foot in the door.
Absolutely. And I think you titled your EP Someday Dream, which I love that title. But I think that's sort of about that idea of contentment coming in this moment where that's just not a reality. Like, these things don't happen overnight. And how do you feel about that reckoning? Like, where do you feel right now after having spent 8 years in Nashville and really cultivating your artistry and your brand?
You know, I'm thankful that it didn't happen overnight, but back then I prayed that it would because I wanted it so bad right then. And that was another thing that I had to learn how to deal with, because you would sing a song on The Voice and the next morning it would be #1 on the iTunes country charts, like that. And that is not how it works in the real world.
Right, and it doesn't feel like a sustainable model
Yes.
for the rest of your career. You can't be on The Voice for the rest of your career and release music.
No. So, yeah, I mean, when I got off the show, I had to relearn and retrain my brain, and that's where Someday Dream came from, because I was kind of living in a way of, like, someday when I sign a record deal, someday when I have a hit song, someday, it was just all these things of like, well, then I'll be living my dream. Then I'll be content. Then I'll be happy. And I had to learn after being miserable, waiting around for someday, that I was getting to live my dream right in that moment, Now, I might not have been where I wanted to be. I was still moving forward, but I was further than I was yesterday, and I was getting to write songs and record them and go out and tour and share them with folks, and that's always been the dream. So that song was huge for me when I wrote it and when we released it, because it kind of helped me garner some perspective to know this is a journey and this doesn't happen overnight. And now, 9 years since The Voice, I'm thankful that I've had all this time to grow here in this town and learn more about myself and hopefully get better a little bit more every day. So that's what I try to do.
Yeah, I think you certainly, you just have such an original brand. And I love that you are pursuing this this traditional country sound that I don't feel like you hear very well, and you do it so well, and you remind me of the Chicks, and you remind me of a lot of your favorite influences like Ricky Skaggs and the Whites. And what does it feel like to be a woman in country music today who's really making country music? Do you feel almost like the outlier, even though you are doing what I think would be sonically traditional country?
I used to, but I believe that there is a new crop of youngins like me who are craving that sound and creating that sound and bringing it back again in their own way. When I first got to town, especially for females, pop country was everything. Kelsey Ballerini had just exploded. Maren Morris had just come on the scene, and that was the sound for women in country music, and that was not my sound at all. And I remember years of writing songs and playing them for my team and playing them for different folks, and them being like, yeah, it sounds good, but we just don't really know how it works. And that was so tough because I loved it and I believed in it, but maybe it just wasn't the right time. I don't know. But all I do know is that that's the only thing I know how to do.
Well, you do it well. And I do think everything is cyclical. Whatever is, the sound of the moment really is only the sound for the moment. I think if we try to chase those targets as artists, that's when you lose yourself.
Yes.
And if you're trying to be someone else or follow some trend, then you're going to be behind. And
yeah.
Where do you find that conviction to stay true to yourself?
I was so tired of writing music that I didn't believe in. And that's what changed it for me. Because I did try when folks said, what if you tried to write some stuff that sounded more like this? I tried. And it also put me in a box creatively in a really big way because I wasn't being honest in a room. I wasn't creating something that felt natural to me. I was trying to mimic something that someone else did. And I was miserable.
Yeah, because you feel like you're constantly missing the mark.
Yeah.
And then you convince yourself that you're not good at what it is that you're doing, but it's because you're trying to do something other than what you do.
Yeah. So I finally just was tired of making music that I didn't like. And I started saying to myself, Emily, win or lose, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and lay your head on the pillow at night and live with yourself and what you're doing. And for me, trying to be somebody that I wasn't was not feeding my soul at all. And so I thought, okay, win or lose, I'm going to make the music that I'm passionate about and that touches my heart, because surely if it means something to me, maybe it'll mean something to somebody else. And another thing that's really cool about the world we live in now is we can get music to people so much easier, I think, than we used to be able to. And I learned that with this last project, being able to post it online and have folks learn about it and discover it. And it gives you, I think, a little bit more freedom to say, like, I don't have to sit in a little box, you know? And country music is not one thing. It's so many things. And I think there's room for all of it.
You're so good at telling stories, and you're a fantastic writer. And I've heard you say that you don't think writing is one of your strong suits, which I think is crazy, because have you all heard her songs that she's written? Yes, she's written these really, I love, I'm not fragile like a flower, I'm fragile like a bomb. That's one of my favorite lines that you have. But I think it's not just about being a good writer, it's also about picking good songs and knowing songs that will work with your voice, and also showing appreciation to this whole tribe of people that live in Nashville and go to work and write songs every day. Like, what is your process for which songs make the album, and like how you pick songs that either you've written or outside songs that you found?
Yeah. Well, for me, everything revolves around the live show, because that's like my passion. I absolutely love being able to be on the stage and sing the songs and entertain and tell stories. And so when I'm in the writer's room, I'm thinking of how will this translate on stage? Is this going to be something that I'm going to be so excited to sing every single night? And do I think that this will either make people happy, make people sad, make people think? You know, I think about those things, because that's what it's all about for me. And that's why I've said to you before, like, you know, there are some people who say, if the artist thing ever gives up on me, then I'll just be a songwriter. And I've never felt like that was for me, because every single time I'm in the writer's room, I'm always thinking about, what will this be like on stage? Because that's where my heart is. And so I think about that when I'm writing, and I think about things, like I said, that matter to me, or things that I observe. I'm the youngest in my family, and all my cousins and family members are so much older than me. I was really the baby of the group, and so I lived my whole life being the baby that was never allowed to do anything but sit back and watch. And I've learned how to observe. And I get a lot of songwriting inspiration just from stories and things that happen in life around me, and I try to pull from that, and just from fun stuff too. Like, I have a song called "Find Me a Man" that's all about just getting ready and being girly, and I love it because that makes me smile, and it gives me fun.
Shania vibes.
Yeah. So, anyways, I pull from all kinds of stuff, but it's got to be like real life that really means something to me. If it's any good, when I try to make something up, it's usually not any good.
Right. When people ask me what the best advice for being a better songwriter is, it's exactly what you just said. It's being a better listener. And even the boring things that you think are not notable, like, take note of them. And that usually ends up making a song a little bit more nuanced and special. So yeah, if you're being the youngest of however many siblings and cousins, you probably didn't get to speak up a lot, but
never.
You were watching a lot.
Was always watching. I learned from all of them. And now they look at me and they're like, "You're just a baby, and how are you so wise?" is what they say, which I don't think I'm wise, but I'm like, well, I got to watch all of y'all and learn from you, so it's good being the baby.
Yeah, yeah. It's good being the baby, everyone. That's like the kid from Dinosaur, that cartoon. This episode of Salute the Songbird is brought to you by Bearded Man Coffee, elevating coffee from cafe to kitchen to campsite. Follow at Bearded Man Coffee on socials. So I'm jumping around just a little bit with the chronology, but you are a runner-up with The Voice. And also, this is a little inside baseball, but Emily Ann and I are both signed to the same management company at Starstruck, which is a pretty reputable company. We're in pretty good hands. I'm so glad that we're there together. But you moved to Nashville, signed with Starstruck. You've just gotten this amazing accomplishment under your belt of being runner-up of season 9 of The Voice. You have Blake Shelton advocating for you and this big fan base, but you're also still a teenager. So, and I don't know this about you. Did you continue school? Did you how did you merge the life of a teenager into this now very, very different, unique life that is hard to relate to?
You know, I do feel like I lost a little bit of like my teenage years. I was a sophomore when I went on The Voice, and they require you to do school while you're out on the show. And so I was able to finish the first semester of my junior year on The Voice. And then I graduated the end of my junior year. And so I missed my senior year. And all of my friends that I had grown up with my whole life, I didn't get to experience that with them. And there were some days that I was in Nashville, like working, and my daddy would call me. I will never forget getting off of Demumbrian onto the interstate. I was leaving after writing one day, and my dad calling me saying something about taxes and personal taxes and business taxes. And I was thinking to myself, I should be in high school right now. What do you mean I have to pay 2 types of taxes? And so there were moments like that where I kind of thought like, oh, well, goodness, I'm kind of straight to work. But I wouldn't trade it, but there were moments that were strange. But I have great friends, and I've got a great support system around me, and all of my friends stayed so close with me, and nobody got weird. You know, they've always, I mean, they never missed a beat. They just said, this is your new life, and we're with you all the way. And so I'm really thankful for that. So, but it was a transition, and there were times, even when my friends went off to college, and I was working and thinking about like stressful work things, and they were in college posting their cute little pictures, that I was like, oh, but I wouldn't trade it. I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do.
It's very evident that you do, but you also had to kind of grow up in the spotlight. That's another thing. That's a critique of mine about shows like The Voice and American Idol, especially when you have such a young winner, is that it sort of skips over what typically would be the responsibility of a label to develop their artists and help them get this album together and then throw them out to the wolves. But it's, I mean, you described this whole process of moving to Nashville and being hot off The Voice. Like, that's a total baptism by fire kind of experience.
It was crazy, but you know, I am so thankful for our incredible team at Starstruck, because if it hadn't been for them, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jesus, for great folks that lead you when you don't know where to go. You know, I got off The Voice and thought, I've got to release music right now. And I was a baby. I was writing songs all alone in my bedroom, and I'd never been in studio. And anyways, I sat down with Narvel, our manager, and he looked at me and he said, you're 17 years old. You've got the rest of your life. He was like, go write. Go figure it out. Take your time. And that was the best advice anybody has ever given me. Even though, like I said, I wanted it to happen right then, he is so wise, and he has done it all. And he knew that that was what I needed. And I'm so thankful for that voice of reason that I had so young.
Absolutely. I mean, we feel like everything is so urgent. I feel like that, and I've been here for 17 years, and you just feel like every day is so important. Every release, like you need to just be on to the next thing. And there's this need for just contentment all the time, whether it's generating content, which you are so good at doing, and do it in such an authentic way. But if you don't leave time for the creativity to kind of accumulate, then I think we get burnt out, and then you're not writing about life. So yes, he's super wise to have given you that advice and for you to have taken it. I also know that you're married, and you have Sasser House, YouTube channel, which is amazing. I work with my husband as well, but in a different capacity. We were just talking backstage, and aren't you fresh off a music video shoot?
I was, yes, today. We
like
woke
today.
up. Yeah.
No big deal, just thanks for penciling us in. But he helped you build a part of the set for
yes,
this video?
Did. He is precious, y'all. He, I about said he does anything I ask him to. Not quite. But I wish. But he is so good. And if I bring him like a vision, he gets so excited about it too, which is so fun. Chris and I met in high school. And he walked through the whole journey of The Voice with me. And so we were able to experience that change together, which was such a blessing. And then he's been with me ever since. And now it's so fun because he's not in music at all. He is a fan. He's a listener, but he can't even really clap in time. But he is a professional listener. He has got lots of opinions that he always gives me. And this morning he built me a set for a vision that I had for this music video. And I'm so thankful because he's so creative in his own way. And then we get to like come together and he brings his creativity and then I get to bring my stuff to the table. And Sasser House has been such a fun thing for us. We bought our first house back in, 2022, and we've been slowly renovating it and making it a home. And we're young, and we're not like Chip and Joanna that can just like knock down walls and make it look like nothing, you know? And so we thought, what if we document this? Because we're doing it on a budget, we're doing it for the first time, and maybe there's other young folks or old folks who think, oh goodness, if they can do it, I can do it. And so that's really why we started it. And now it's turned into so much more. It's been really, really fun. And we just share our life. We share our marriage. We share our home renovations. He builds and does woodworking. I garden and can and crochet. And we just share our whole life on there.
It's amazing. I went down a rabbit hole of it. He has terrible taste in cookies, but the pumpkin pie homemade versus store-bought was...
I know.
But he was honest with you.
Oh, he's honest.
You are... This could be a whole other career if you couldn't sing and write and perform the way that you do. Like, I see you being like the next Trisha Yearwood with your own cooking channel, cooking show, and you guys are like Chip and Joanna. Like, you're hot on their tail. They should watch out. But it's so cool that you can work together in harmony, and your relationship is clearly loving, and you both respect each other a lot. But in this world of entertainment where you feel like you need to just be making this video and this video and this video, it seems like you don't do it out of obligation at all. Like, this is just something that you genuinely enjoy doing, and the production quality of these videos is amazing too. Like, you've just worked really hard at capturing it in a way that's so easy to digest as a consumer and a viewer too. Oh. How did you learn to do that? Or do you have a film crew following you around that I don't know about?
Shout out to my phone. Here's the deal. When I first got to town, and of course I had Instagram and I had Facebook and Twitter and all the stuff. And I shared stuff on there, but it did feel like an obligation. And I will never, ever forget sitting in a meeting with the team at Starstruck and everybody saying, you have to download TikTok. And me saying, no. TikTok is where little kids dance, and I'm not a dancer. And they said it's not an option. You have to get on the platform. And this was probably either early 2020, I guess it was early 2020. So I downloaded the app and I started posting things on there. And it did kind of feel like an obligation. It felt like, because really to me, and I'm sure you feel this way, and I'm sure all kinds of artists feel this way, but it's like, man, I work my tail off. I have 10 trillion things to do today. I don't have time to come up with something to post online. And that's where my head was at. So I just tried, and I started posting, and I didn't take myself too serious, and I sang some of my favorite songs and covered some songs. I put some originals out there, and I started seeing people's lives change from that crazy app. And I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to shift my perspective. I'm not going to let this be something that sucks the life from me, but instead I'm just going to pour my life into it. And I'm going to make it fun. I'm going to just share things that I'm excited about, things that I'm passionate about. I'm going to share my music. I'm just going to be myself, and I'm just going to give it all I got. And I learned that the more that I gave, the more that I got. And I started seeing songs really connect with folks on there, and then that really excited me. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is a way for me to reach people, because I've never signed a record deal. I've been on my own, other than our team at Starstruck, since I got to Nashville. And so this was a way for me to kind of like reach people. Mm-hmm. And that put some gasoline on the fire for me, because I thought, man, okay, if I can make a video and reach folks, then I've got to make more videos. And so now what I do, for a very practical way of keeping up with things, because I try to post daily, which is crazy because I'm writing, I'm touring, and then every once in a while I need to take a nap. But I will just stockpile. I'll have days where I just video everything, and I have it on the can, so I always have something to share, because I've just learned that it is just as valuable as anything else in this career. And I don't know, I didn't let it be I wasn't going to let it be a bad word in my heart or in my house anymore. It wasn't going to be a stressful thing. It was just going to be another part of my job. But I had to decide that, because when you look at it like this is a burden, it will be a burden. So you have to change your perspective and say, okay, this is just a way for me to be able to reach more folks and introduce them to my music.
And I think a lot of artists do resent the need to constantly feed the beast, but a lot of artists don't have the talent and the craftiness that you do. Like, you're gathering a bunch of your friends together this week to crochet together. Emily Ann sells some of these items that she makes. Their masterpieces on tour, and I'm just like, this is the Yeehaw Mima character that you play so well. Tell us about this. You can follow her at Yeehaw Mima, and this is your alter ego that I think goes in tandem with Sasser House and everything that you're doing there. But you're 26 and you love to crochet and do grandma stuff.
I love being a grandma, and I don't even have a baby. But I do. I love the old stuff. And Yeehaw Mima was born because I've always been into the old-timey stuff. And I thought about it, and I was like, I am one part yeehaw, and I am one part Mima. And that's how Yeehaw Mima was born. And it is my alter ego. But I mean, we are one and the same. And I'm having my first ever Yeehaw Mima Country Crochet Club tomorrow night here in Nashville, where I'm getting all of my friends in the music business together, because my hope is with this little club that it'll be a way for everybody to just connect and meet new friends and be able to talk and vent and anything that, you know, we want to do and just have fun. But also, it's such a creative outlet for me, because I love being creative with music, but there are some days where I need to turn that part of my brain off. And with crochet, I can still be creative in a different way. And so it's been such an outlet for me. And I make clothes, and I make gifts for people. And I'm trying to show other young folks that like this old-timey stuff is still relevant and really cool. And it's been neat. We've had so many girls come up to the table after shows and at meet and greets, and they'll wear crochet clothes that they made. It was so funny. I was singing in Chattanooga just a couple weeks ago, and right down on the front row, there was a girl who was wearing a crocheted sweater, and I recognized the pattern. I do like tutorials that I put on Sasser House, and so I knew it was my pattern. And I had crocheted my top for the show. And so I called her out, and I was like, "You're wearing a crocheted sweater." And she stands up. She was proud as punch, okay? And then in the blackness, back further at the theater, I hear somebody holler out, I crocheted my top too. And they turn the lights on and there's this girl standing up just as proud as she can be in her crocheted top. And I love that. I love that something that has been such a fun creative outlet for me is now something fun for other folks that they might not have known about because it's kind of a lost art.
Well, and you get to use your hands and you're not on your phone. And at the end of the process, you have this beautiful result and it's something you can hold and be like, I did that. And I think there's so few things in life that are tactile and you're creating something. And also your style is not grandma at all. I mean, this is not a visual medium for those of you listening, but Emily Ann is absolutely beautiful and like dresses. The crochet top you had was like a cool little halter top that I saw last. So there's nothing dowdy or grandma about the appearance, but yeah, there's like this duality within you that's all these things and helps you have a mental break. And will you teach me to crochet?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'll
you
teach
heard it
everybody.
Here. I'm so excited. I'm going to wear a crochet top and be proud as Punch as well. Okay, so we have to kind of wrap it up and talk about some of these amazing things that are ahead of you. You've already been on tour with Blake Shelton, but you have another tour coming up with him where you're opening, and what it's called the Friends and Heroes Tour?
Yes, the Friends and Heroes. I'm so excited. We were on the Back to the Honky Tonk tour, and then I guess we did a good job because he asked us back out next year. So I am thrilled. He is absolutely one of a kind. He is such a friend from the beginning. When you meet him, he's just so normal and down to earth, and it means the world that after all these years, he's still reaching out a helping hand to me.
Well, he loves you. That's very clear. And he is someone who I feel with all the fame and everything has never changed or gotten weird, as you say. He's like 7 feet tall and this huge presence and couldn't be nicer. Yeah. But he definitely sees something in you and believes in you. And this is going to be a huge tour. How many dates are you all going to do together?
Oh, good question. We are out for 4 weeks. So 4 times 3 dates a weekend is 4, 8, 12 dates. I barely graduated high school. And now you're seeing that live.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make you do that.
I'm like, I don't know what's for supper tonight, much less how many dates. No. But yeah, we're so excited. And Trace Adkins is going to be out for the Friends and Heroes, Dina Carter, and Craig Morgan.
I love those
Blake.
Guys.
And me.
And you, and little old you.
So anyways, it's going to be really, really fun. I get to take the whole band out, and we're just going to have a ball. And I get to play my hometown arena.
Oh, my gosh.
I know.
Is this
Thompson
the first
Bowling
time?
Arena. First time ever. And I'm so excited. You know, the first time I ever went to that arena, me and Mama called in to our local radio station, WIVK. We were sitting in the grocery store parking lot and thought we'd never win, and we did. And we got to go to Thompson Bowling Arena, and I just remember sitting. You feel so small in those big arenas looking at that artist on the stage, and you just think, man, if I could ever do that. And now I get to sing on that stage for the first time, so I'm really, really excited about that.
The baby of the family, and you're going to have all your cousins and siblings watching you.
Everybody's literally, I posted about it. Nobody said, like, congrats. They said, hey, can you get me some tickets? And I'm like, there's millions of y'all, so no. We'll have a fight, and the winner will get them. But anyways.
You're in charge now.
Yeah.
Take that authority. As the baby, you've been waiting for this moment. Describe a day on tour. What's your ideal day before all the excitement begins? And how are you traveling?
Well, okay, so on the Blake tour, we do travel on a bus, which is wonderful. And it spoils me. But I'm going to be real with y'all. That's not the norm for me and my crew. We have a little Meemaw Peepaw van, as I like to call it. And it is a little Chevy Express. It's silver. It is an eyesore. And it gets us down the road. And so that's what we travel in. And so honestly, let me give you 2 scenarios. Right now, in normal life, when I'm not on tour with Blake Shelton feeling like hoop-de-doo, my fanny's in the back seat of that van, bumping along down the highway, and trying to nap when I can, crocheting, talking to the boys. And I love that. They're like my family. I love my band so much. We get to the show, and we're running 90-0. Now, on the Blake tour, though, we wake up, we're there, I'm well rested, I'm taking my curlers out of my hair, I'm walking to catering, okay, and getting some bacon, getting some coffee, because they have everything. And then I have the rest of the day to do whatever I want. So one day, when I get me a tour bus, oh, it's going to be good.
Someday dream.
Someday dream, please, closer than someday far off. But yeah, I crochet, I work out, I read a book, I do videos, I do TikToks. I have so much time when we're on a bus. When we're in the van, we're in the van. But, you know, I'm thankful for that van. It has gotten me to a lot of gigs, and one day when it is retired to the junkyard, I will kiss it goodbye with a happy smile to never see it ever again, hopefully. Thankful for the time, but ready to move on to something better. So,
I feel you, and I want to enjoy one of these days with you. I want to get bacon and coffee with you, curlers. But the van life is an aggressively hard life, and I've had it before. I love that you have a Meemaw Peepaw van, but you load out, you're in your sweaty clothes, you drive for 3 hours to a Best Western in the middle of nowhere, you sleep for a couple hours, then you wake up at like 5 in the morning, you get back in the car, you get to the venue, you load out, you have a weird kitchen to sit in while you wait for the show to start.
Let's talk about that too.
And then you're like putting your makeup on and questioning all your life decisions. Yeah. And then the show is what it's all about. And you're like, this is why we did it. So you deserve a bus.
30 minutes.
Yeah, it's yes. I think there is extra time, and that's what the most valuable commodity when you're on the road is just like have 5 seconds to yourself to crochet, to catch up with your boys, to write a song. So kudos to all the artists out there listening who are in the Meemaw Peepaw van right now. I've been there. I will be there again someday. And I think you enjoy this time on the bus. You've earned it.
I will.
I'm going to throw some questions to the audience. If any, please don't be shy. And then Max is going to deliver the microphone to anyone who has some questions.
Have you ever met like somebody that was so passionate about like not just music, but like I'm assuming you coming from like an agriculture background? Yeah, me too. Southern Middle Tennessee. So, how would you tell them, I guess, to just keep going with it?
Oh man, well, what a great question, because I have had so many times during my career that I have felt like I needed to hang up the hat and walk away. And I think we all have that time in our lives at one point or another, if we're chasing down a dream, or with anything in life. It could even be in a relationship where you're looking at your situation and your circumstance thinking, I don't think I have what it takes to put one foot in front of the other. But I had a wonderful daddy that was a great example to me. He fell and broke his back when he was 21. Doctors told him he'd never walk again, but he was determined to walk again. And he went from a wheelchair to a walker to 2 canes to 1 cane to now he just wears braces on his legs, and he's never let it hold him back a day in his life. And he showed me that our circumstances don't have to define our lives. We're going to go through hard times when we're chasing down dreams or chasing anything in life. But just because things are hard doesn't mean that it's the end, and it doesn't mean that they're bad. And I wrote a song about that. It's called Keep On. And it says, if your heart's still beating, you ain't got a reason to give up yet. And I am a firm believer that if there is breath in your lungs and a heart beating in your chest, your best days are ahead of you. And so I try to encourage folks with that, because there have been plenty of times that I felt like giving up. But now, standing on the other side, I'm so thankful that I didn't. Even though I thought, oh goodness, my best days are behind me. I need to go back to the Mexican restaurant. Life is tough. And I think it's hard when you try to bite it all off at one time, but if you can just find the strength to put one foot in front of the other, one day at a time, you're going to get to where you need to get to. So I hope that helps.
Not thought-provoking at all. Knoxville's my hometown. Just curious, what high school?
Carnes High School. I'm a Beaver. Halls? Oh. Okay, yes.
Fight. Okay.
Yeah.
Emily Ann, you are so delightful. Is she not the best? And
You're
just,
so sweet.
I could talk to you forever. You have the gift of gab in a way that, no, it's the best.
I do. I know. I'm sorry. My mama calls me Talker, Betty Crocker. And it's the truth.
Well, I mean, it's just obviously so apparent that you love what you do, that you love sharing not only your music, but yourself with people, and we are all so lucky for it. So thank you so much. And I want to finish with my last question, which is what I ask all my songbirds that come on the show. What's your favorite part about being a woman in this industry?
Wow. I think my favorite part about being a woman in this industry is maybe bringing my perspective and being able to be a voice for women and sing songs and tell stories that maybe they wouldn't always have the courage to say or the words to say. Maybe not the courage is the right word, but being able to write songs and share a message that maybe they just didn't know how to say, and being able to put words to those feelings that all of us women feel. And I think that that's a great honor to be able to kind of carry that torch and be able to do that. And so I would say that's probably one of my favorite parts.